Starting off with the data, we just got this new data released as of July 15th. Now, I know that this is several days ago, but this data just came out. It was delayed by like 5 or 6 days. So we just got this. We're breaking this right now. The total EIDL loans approved is 3.812 million. The total targeted advances, 284,000, and the total supplemental targeted advances are 209,000. Now, I know those numbers mean nothing unless you can see them relative to other weeks and see where are things trending. Are they actually getting better? Are they getting worse? When can I actually receive my payments? When is my business going to get some relief? So as always, I have taken this data, we're extrapolating it to a spreadsheet, and then we can compare what's going on week to week and see where things are trending. So this is the good old spreadsheet breaking down the data. And with this, we can see last week there was total approvals of 271,000 as of July 8th, and now there are 284,000 approvals. That's an increase of 13,302. Now that is unfortunately a much lower number than expected, and that would leave us with the worst performing week since May 20th. 2 months almost. I mean, June 3rd was pretty close, but it was just higher. So really the last week that we've seen numbers this low is May 20th. So it's unfortunate that after a couple good weeks, especially this July 1st update, where there was 58,000 approvals and then 19,000, which was up there in one of the better weeks, we're seeing a pretty low dragging week that was an increase of only 4.91% over the week before that. So of course it's frustrating to see things back trending, especially after we've had a couple good weeks and things were like, oh, with 58,000 approvals, we're like, this is going to be done in a couple months if it can stay at this level. And unfortunately, we've seen things backpedal a little bit. So that gives us a total amount approved of 28.45%. Now, I think that this real number is actually lower than that because I think there's going to be more than 1 million total approvals. And the weeks to remain the funding advances at this prevailing rate at 13,302, that would mean 54 weeks to fund all remaining $10,000 advances. Again, that could potentially be longer depending on how many approvals there are. Now, I've taken this data to help visualize this a little bit more. We can look at the total $10,000 grant approvals over time. And here's where we can see that big spike of 58,000 approvals in 1 week. And then it's flattened off a little bit since then. And the total weekly approvals, this is new approvals per week. We can see again that huge spike. It started off slowly, kind of built up, and now we're hopefully not going to continue this downwards trend. Hopefully we can pick up and see this start getting back up here again. That's where we would really like this. Also, if this data is helpful to help really picture what's going on, let me know, because of course it takes much more time to put together this stuff. And I only want to spend the time if it's actually helpful. And then we have the $5,000 supplemental targeted advances. This is much more in line with the $10,000 advances. It seems once people are approved for that, if they also hit the criteria for the $5,000 advance, they get approved relatively quickly. So we're just going to quickly go over this data. In the last week, we have 15,800 new approvals here. That is down from the week before, and it's actually one of the lower weeks here as well. That's an increase of 8.2%. Now with this, there's enough funding for 1 million businesses, and in order to fund the remaining 800,000 or so businesses, it would take about 50 weeks. And it seems about 66% of people who receive that 10,000 are receiving the 5,000. And I've broken this down into charts as well. So we can see the total $5,000 approvals. This is much more linear, which is interesting. Interesting to see that, it's fairly a straight line, but the approvals per week are all over the place. They're pretty darn scattered. We've seen these two large peaks here where they seem to have done a bulk amount of these approvals.